Now, there's no doubt about it that a lot of Star Wars fans around the globe have been very much tired of Kathleen Kennedy's direction of the Star Wars franchise over the years. Thankfully, though, we have John and Dave really steering things in the right path, given that Kennedy only has control over Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte series as of right now. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Disney and Lucasfilm right now is that Bob Iger is beginning to transform both companies. Basically, it is coming out of desperation and damage control. Yes, we all understand that. But that is the moment in time in which one begins to truly change. We know that Bob Iger realizes that things need to be done for both Star Wars and Marvel, by the way, especially since what happened with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. But when we look at everything related to that, we know that Star Wars needs the most improvement right now over at Lucasfilm, and that's exactly what he's allowing for John and Dave to do, to really kind of rebrand it and rebuild it from the ground up. Now that brings us to what Bob Iger had to say about the age-old question about Kathleen Kennedy getting fired from Lucasfilm, getting let go, laid off, whatever have you. And this is something that has been brought up to him multiple times. We all are very well aware about that. However, this one seems to be a little bit more direct toward the community and really coming close to a full-fledged confirmation. Now, we know that Kathleen Kennedy is aimed to be leaving Lucasfilm by this August. Disney is getting ready to kick her out right around that time, a couple of months after Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny releases in June. That's the overall plan right now. She's gotten this severance deal that's worth $25 to $30 million. Crazy, I know. But moving on to the next big thing here is that with both John and Dave getting ready to make big announcements for the fans, Bob Iger, the Disney CEO, is also making big changes. Now, in a recent interview he took part in, he was questioned about Kathleen Kennedy and new leadership at Lucasfilm. Bob Iger went on to state the following to the community. Well, first things first, we are aware that in this industry it can be very tough to stick to one form of leadership, and we understand that many times the audiences outgrow or begin to actually disagree with certain companies and their leadership. We have been looking at endless options on new leadership for this franchise and for Lucasfilm, and it's a work in progress, in order to evolve the brand that we want to cherish so dearly for the fans that turned it into a success. We fully realize that they are our path, of course, throughout the years, and maybe wasn't an easy one for many fans to agree with, and we are on the roll of changing all of that. Now, let me just stop right here for a second. So Bob Iger putting it forward and made, very clear as well that their path throughout the past couple of years did not agree with everybody. They are aware about that. And, of course, he's alluding to The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, the solo Star Wars story film, Kenobi and Boba Fett, stuff like that. Even though I thought that Solo was an entertaining film, let's be honest, it is something that really was not a success box office-wise for Disney and Lucasfilm. It just was not. So that brings us to Bob Iger. Now, Bob Iger really putting it out there that yes, they are in the process of getting new leadership at Lucasfilm. It's a conversation that they are having every single day, and it is a work in progress. Like we talked about before, they are now having, all eyes on David Heyman, the Hollywood producer who was involved in the Harry Potter films, by the way, to become the new Lucasfilm president by this August. Now, initially they wanted Ron Howard, but he got tied up in a lot of TV stuff, smaller projects that he's busy with, so that's pretty much out the window at this point. I know some fans might be happy about that, but I think that, given that David Heyman is a huge Star Wars fan, he loves the lore, he also likes the Harry Potter franchise, obviously, because he was involved. That really kind of gives you a little bit more hope about Lucasfilm as a company, that Disney is looking to get somebody that is passionately driven and knows the franchise, how they know how the audience works and what they want to see on the screen. That's the type of leadership that you need, and Disney is very well aware about all of that. So that moves us to the next big thing here about what Bob Iger had to say. So The next thing that he actually goes to elaborate on does involve more to do with Kathleen Kennedy and others. So he goes on to state, something you need, of course, is new leadership of a brand, and this big of something, someone who holds knowledge of the core material and how it works with the audience. And that is exactly what we are looking into, and we will be talking more about this in the coming months. It's in my best interest to only make things better for the fans. There comes a time when new leadership is needed to fully transform a brand to become more successful and to connect with fans more on a personal level. This is our goal right now, and something that we will be relentless about and pursuing for the future, and where Star Wars will go for the community. So, once again, Bob Iger putting it up front that everything related to the direction of the Star Wars franchise is changing. The leadership is changing. It is making a big shift. He is making it very direct to the fans that this is going to change, and it is a work in progress. Now, we already know that the higher-ups over at Disney have a big issue and big problems with Kathleen Kennedy for multiple reasons. Number one being is that Kathleen Kennedy is somebody that not only made premature announcements of projects that never came to light, giving people false hope about certain projects, but she also says a lot of really bad things about the fans and about George Lucas's philosophy and stuff like that, and how her upcoming projects like Acolyte and Skeleton Crew are all about really kind of destroying that philosophy that George created for Star Wars. So it is something that Disney wants to take care of. They are on the roll of really getting this job done as soon as possible. And it's all about really cleaning up house at Lucasfilm as well. We talked about this just yesterday, that John and Dave now have privileges over at the company to fire and hire specific employees over at Lucasfilm, specifically creatives that are going to be handling this franchise moving forward. So, again, this is a very big work in progress. Bob Iger is putting it out there very clearly that things need to change. Now, we know that they lost 2 million Disney Plus subscribers, and though it may not seem like a lot compared to like the 240 something million users on there, it is a little bit, of a dent, and it's a telltale sign that things need to really shape up. So Ahsoka this year, I think, is going to drag more people back. I think Mando Season 3 might even drag people back at the very least, temporarily. I don't think that you're going to get as much annual subscriptions. I think that you're going to see more and more month-by-month subscriptions for Disney Plus users to just check out these Star Wars, shows and such, if you're a Star Wars fan strictly and not really catering to Marvel or anything like that. So, like I say, guys, there's a lot of different things happening at once, especially between Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, Bob Iger, and the Disney board members. It's an ever-evolving strategy by Disney to get her out, and to really just kind of, take things from there. So anyways, guys, fill me in below in the comments what you guys have to say about all of this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.